Imagine for a moment that every rhythm, every breath, every pulse you've carried into the bedroom, even the ones you've never noticed, have been quietly scripting the story of your intimacy. What if those scripts, written across decades of habits and expectations, are the very lines now tripping you up in your later years? This is not about blame. It's an invitation to awaken, to see with fresh eyes how the way you loved yourself and your partner for years shaped what intimacy means for you today. It's about 5 profound awakenings. Truths that, once understood, can free you from patterns that no longer serve you and open the door to a deeper, more nourishing connection than ever before. Awakening 1: The Archive of Desire. Have you ever noticed how memory frames the first spark of your desire? In youth, desire was sudden. A flash of heat in the spine, a gulp of breath that demanded release. It was impulsive, urgent, and it worked with the body as if on cue. In that era, you might have prided yourself on never needing to negotiate desire. It simply arrived and you acted. But desire is not eternal in its youthful form. As years pass, it becomes less like an unbidden guest and more like a carefully anticipated friend. When you cling to the past, expecting that impulsive fire to leap to life at the drop of a hat, you set yourself up for frustration. Your body, wiser now, asks for rehearsal. Pre-dawn stretches to wake the blood, a quiet conversation to stir the heart, a mindful dose of vitamins, or perhaps a walk to clear tension before you enter the sanctuary of the bedroom. What it costs you to ignore this shift. You risk scapegoating your partner for misunderstandings, believing that your inability to turn on is proof of dwindling love rather than a simple misalignment of expectation. Shame seeps in, and you may retreat, convinced that desire must be spontaneous or it is not desire at all. The new script: honor your body's need for preparation. Treat intimacy like a shared ritual rather than a random act. Light a candle. Share a cup of tea. Let anticipation build like a fine wine fermenting toward its peak. In so doing, you learn that slowing down can actually deepen the burn of desire, transforming it from a burst of flame to a steady, nourishing hearth. Awakening 2: The heart's unspoken language. You may have grown accustomed to seeing erectile function as merely a performance metric, green light or red light. But beneath that signal lies a pulse of far greater significance. The language of your cardiovascular system. The arteries that feed your ability to maintain an erection are narrow, delicate waterways that often betray blockages before your heart itself demands attention. When you treat every missed beat in the bedroom as just an old man's problem, you risk ignoring the whisper of a greater danger. Each falter may be a soft knock on the chest from your own heart saying, "Look closer." Too many men overlook these signals until the knock becomes a hammer blow. A scare in the ER, a surgeon's warning, or, worst of all, tragedy that might have been prevented. What it costs you to ignore this shift. You gamble not only with confidence but with life. Untreated cardiovascular issues can lead to heart attacks, strokes, and irreversible damage, sometimes in the very moments you thought you were celebrating life's pleasures. The new script: listen to your body's unspoken language. View changes in function not as a personal failure but as a sacred alert to seek help. Talk to your physician, undergo the tests, and address the root cause. In doing so, you reclaim more than your sexual vitality. You reclaim years of loving, breathing, living well. Awakening 3: The Brotherhood of Touch. Intimacy is often reduced to physical mechanics, but at its core, it is about belonging. The warmth of another hand on your chest, the weight of a head on your shoulder, the coherence of 2 bodies synchronized in breath. These are gestures of acceptance, of being seen and held. Yet many men grow so accustomed to the how of sex that they forget the why. They chase arousal and climax like 2 points on a graph, and they leave behind the valleys of emotional communion. Over years, this subtle neglect builds walls. You may still lie next to each other, yet feel worlds apart. What it costs you to ignore this shift: emotional starvation, sleepless nights, a slow accretion of loneliness that no pill can cure. You may find yourself asking, why does intimacy feel empty? When the emptiness is not in the act but in the heart that never fully showed up. The new script: relearn touch as conversation. Before the clothes come off, let your hands speak. Ask your partner what feels comforting. Share a story. Let the moments of pause between strokes be filled with affirmations. Quiet words, soft whatever. When you prioritize connection over performance, you restore the healing alchemy of human touch. Awakening 4: the mirror of fantasy. From the earliest days of pornographic images and videos, your brain formed shortcuts. Arousal equals novelty, novelty equals satisfaction. In young years, it might have seemed harmless, a quick fix when real connection felt out of reach. But extended into old age, this reliance on fantasy can hollow out the capacity for real pleasure. Imagine waking one morning to find that the real, imperfect, unpredictable body of your partner no longer ignites you. You feel bored, distracted, maybe even critical. This dissonance seeds resentment, erodes trust, and erects barriers between you. All the while, you tell yourself it's the changes of age, when in truth, your brain has been rewired by hours of passive stimulation rather than active presence. What it costs you to ignore this shift: a betrayal of your own capacity to love fully. You may lose the simple joy of a caress without digital enhancement, and you risk isolating yourself behind screens rather than stepping forward into the arms of someone you cherish. The new script: unplug from fantasy, start small. Replace one nightly scroll with a shared moment of mindfulness, a mirror glance where you speak truth about desire and expectation. Seek guidance if needed. Support groups, therapy, or honest friendships can help you retrain your mind to value the authentic over the artificial. What awaits is a reclaiming of richness in real-world intimacy, deeper than any pixelated promise. Awakening 5: the peace of acceptance. Perhaps the most dangerous impulse in later life is the need to prove you're still strong, still potent, still relevant. You tell yourself you'll surprise both your partner and yourself. And on that night, you skip preparations and caution, pushing your body into scenarios it can no longer sustain without risk. In that moment, padded by pride, you court disaster. Overtaxed hearts, spiking blood pressure, or worse. Lives have been lost striving to relive memories rather than embrace the present. But what if, instead of proving, you chose to accept? Acceptance is not resignation. It is the serene power of living fully within your current self, with kindness and realistic care. What it costs you to ignore this shift: lives cut short, partners left with wounds that go beyond grief, wounds of guilt, regret, and what if? Complexes that no apology can fully mend. The new script: embrace intimacy as collaboration, not conquest. Honor your body's signals with gratitude. When you feel the impulse to prove, pause, breathe, ask, is this about love or ego? Choose presence, an unhurried embrace, a whispered affirmation, a measured pace. In that space of acceptance, you discover a profound freedom, the ability to cherish every touch without the tyrannies of performance. The invitation to begin again. These 5 awakenings are not lectures, they are doorways. Each one invites you to step into a new understanding of what intimacy can be. A mindful dance of body, heart, and spirit. If you've realized that past habits have dimmed the spark you once took for granted, rejoice in the clarity now before you. For knowledge, once received, becomes possibility. Today, choose to rewrite your story. Talk openly with your partner. Listen attentively to your body, your partner's needs, and the pulse of your own heart. Seek professional advice when silence has reigned too long. Dare to be vulnerable. Dare to plan. Dare to accept and to prepare. The pages ahead of you need not be a lament for lost youth, but a celebration of gained wisdom. Intimacy in later life can be richer, more patient, more profound than anything you've known. It is a tapestry woven from intention, empathy, respect, and love, the materials that never age. If these words resonate, if they stir a flicker of hope or a pang of recognition, take the next step. Speak up. Schedule that doctor's appointment. Share these thoughts with your partner. Open that conversation. Each small act of courage sends ripples through your life, inviting a new chapter of connection, vitality, and joy. You have spent a lifetime learning what intimacy meant. Now, with compassion and awareness, you have the power to learn what intimacy can mean. And in that choice lies the promise of deeper pleasure, deeper health, and a deeper love, no matter your years. Hit that subscribe button and join us on a journey through the timeless wisdom of the older generation. Don't miss a single life-changing lesson.